नाही नाही हे ठेवू शकतो. अर्ध क्रॉस. हा अर्ध करू शकतो. पण मग पुढूनच करूया ना. ओके. अगो पुण्याहून आलाय वाटतं. पण असेच करतात काही. ते पण तिथे समोर. हो. वय बस आपल्याला अगदी तिथे नेलंस. तू हात केलास तर घेतलंच आहे. माझ्याकडे असतील. तुला हवे असेल तर असं गरमागरम. तू आता माहिती आहे कसं गरमागरम. सीधा ही जाना. आता महत्वाचं लेक्चर. अगं नाही त्या टीचरने तसं वर्णन केलेलं आहे. आता इथे तर फुल आहे अजून पण असते माहित नाही अजून घेते. नवरस. तू पण ऐकू दे. नवरस मी रंग पूजा. हे ऑन करून असतं. हे एम वाला कोणते वाजत एम वाला काय मला नाव वाजतंय नाही. तिथून बघ. तीच असते. ट्रक मध्ये माहिती बाकीच्याही सांगितलं तर तिला कळेल ना की आपला आवाज जातोय. चुकून हातला पण सुरू होऊ शकतो. नाही मी माझं म्हणून मी सगळं चेक करू शकतो की अजूनही म्यूट आहे अनम्यूट आहे म्यूट आहे की नाही. पण त्यात चुकून अनम्यूट होऊ शकतं ते चेक करण्यात. सीधा आहे.
પાલનપુર હવે 23 કિલોમીટર છે. બોલાવો ભાઈને.
कोणी केलं हॉटस्पॉट. तिथं जिओ होतं. आता त्या शॉर्मा आले. आगे ना वो रोज गार्डन यहाँ पे आगे आगे रोक दीजिए. ऐसे ताके यहाँ पे. हाँ. थँक यू.
Hello, Neegan Bhai. Will you introduce Shakuntala ma'am? Well, I don't have stable network.
नेटवर्क.
मैडम बोलो. हेलो.
Hello, am I audible?
यस मैडम, नमस्ते. नमो.
Namaste. So, shall we start with? Hello, you
Deepa
are not
madam doesn't
audible.
have a network, I think.
Okay,
Shakuntala,
so we can switch,
Neegan
I
Bhai
guess.
will introduce you because I don't have network.
Okay, okay, no issues. We can start also directly. No issues at
I
all.
think, uh, I mean, madam, Shakuntala madam does not need any introduction as such. She has been our teacher in the Sanskrit Bhavan, and also she's an expert on the rasa theory. And more than I say anything else, I think we will know from her sharing that she will talk to us about the rasa theory, and which is a very important part of the Indian aesthetics. So, madam, with this little introduction, may I request you to please start?
Yes. So I hope you can see my presentation as well. You shared.
Yes, madam.
Okay, okay. So we are starting with the rasa theory, and as you are doing this course on aesthetics, it is very important to know about Indian perspective on aesthetics, and rasa is very important approach which has been discussed and even applied in modern scenario in the area of aesthetics. So when we think about rasa theory, where it goes back, we have to first understand. So rasa is there. We can see or we can trace rasa back to the ancient text Rigveda. Okay, from the Rigveda we can see the rasa. We have the idea about Navarasa, Shrungara, Karuna, Veera, etc. And we can see all these rasas reflected even in Rigvedic text, which is considered as the ancient. But when we say that there is a reflection, rasa is delineated, there is no discussion over the process of rasa. How this rasa is created, how this rasa is experienced, who experiences the rasa, what are the ingredients required for the rasa. Means, poet has to go from any specific process that poetry will give the rasa experience, etc., etc. This process is not discussed. So, right from the Rigveda, rasa can be seen, experienced. But when we think about rasa process, definitely we have to uh, understand or the Bharata's Natya Shastra, which is considered as a source book for the Indian poetics, or what we call it as Sahitya Shastra, Kavya Shastra, or Indian aesthetics, you can say. It is like a source book. Now, from the name, it may seem that Natya Shastra is a text just on dramaturgy. Okay, because Natya means drama. But it is not just on drama. Why? Because the Natya consists of, if you see ancient drama, it consists of dance, music, and definitely the dramatic element which consists of dialogue, etc. So naturally, the whatever is discussed in Natya Shastra gets applied to all these elements. Like it will be applied to poetry, that is kavya, dance, music, and so different arts we can say. And therefore, Natya Shastra has been very important text from the perspective of Kavya Shastra, Sahitya Shastra, or what we can say as the science of literature. Okay, and rasa theory, that is rasa siddhanta, can be seen first of all discussed in Bharata Muni's Natya Shastra, which goes back to 2nd century BC. Rasa as such can be seen from the texts like Rigveda, etc., which are very ancient, because Vedas are considered as the source of all the knowledge, all the wisdom, and in that we can definitely see the rasa which is being used. But when we think about the rasa process as a theory, it first of all comes in Bharata Muni's Natya Shastra. That we need to understand. Now, again, another thing which we should know is it is not just the rasa which is the perspective which is there in Natya Shastra or in the tradition of Kavya Shastra, I will say, because Natya Shastra is just a beginning, it is a source book. But after Natya Shastra, there was a great tradition of Kavya Shastra. There are many poeticians, rhetoricians, literary, what we can say, scientists who have composed their treatises on these elements of poetics. So it starts with Bharata Muni's Natya Shastra in 2nd century BC, and literally, it is still Jagannath Pandit from 16th century, and of course it goes on and on, but definitely in regional languages. But if we understand Sanskrit treatises, that then the tradition is so long, from 2nd century BC to literally the 16th century's Jagannath Pandit's treatise. And it is not that they are discussing the single viewpoint, but in fact they have understood this idea from different perspectives. Literally, how to appreciate the beauty, what creates beauty in poetry, any kind of poetry. See, again, the kavya, the concept of kavya is very vast in Sanskrit. Because when we say poetry, we just understand poem in that category. But the kavya concept of kavya is very broad. It consists of poetry, drama, any kind of literature. Basically, it consists of the literature which is audible, shravya, and also drukshravya, that is audio visual, means drama. So kavya is a broad concept. So when they are talking about kavya shastra, all these literary genres get included, and even those elements are discussed in such a way that those elements can be applied to any other art. So the tradition of Indian aesthetics can be understood through the tradition of Indian poetics as such, which starts from Bharata Muni's Natya Shastra. Now here are some on slide you can see some important viewpoints which are discussed in Indian aesthetics. Like there is Alankara Siddhanta, which is propounded by, we can say, Bhamaha in his treatise Kavya Lankar. But again, all sources can be traced back again to Bharata Muni's Natya Shastra. It is not that Alankara is first of all defined or identified by Bhamaha. He found that in Bharata's Natya Shastra and he elaborated on that. So, according to this viewpoint, what creates beauty is Alankara, figures, embellishment basically. If it is embellished, then it's a beauty. So, in case of poetry, in case of art, you can understand in that perspective. It should be embellished in every manner. Without embellishment, there is no beauty. And so he discusses various factors which will add beauty, which will add basically embellishment. So, embellishment of words, embellishment of meaning, and other factors. Okay. Then Vamana has propounded the theory which is called as Gunariti. Now, Guna means excellences or merits. So he has defined certain excellences which should be there in poetry, without which there will be no beauty. And Riti is again a important factor. Riti means style. Okay, it's how you adopt a peculiar style, and it will add beauty in the poetry, like that. The rasa is important, which we are going to explore. So I will not now elaborate on that. Dhwani was again interesting viewpoint, which was propounded by Anandavardhana. So Dhwani is nothing but the theory of suggestion. Dhwani has nothing to do with sound as such, which we usually understand, but Dhwani is a theory of suggestion. Okay, so
Okay,
the
okay.
poetry which is suggestive is beautiful. So see how idea of beauty is also changing. It is not that other factors are totally dismissed, like means if Anandavardhana is propounding Dhvani Siddhanta means he's totally dismissing Alankara, Gunariti, Rasa. It is not like that. They are there, they are as a part of poetry, but Dhvani becomes the significant principle, a very important principle. Dhvani also we are going to explore after the Rasa theory as a part of this course. And there is another theory called Vakrokti, which was propounded by Kuntaka. Now, Vakrokti is Vakra Ukti. So, Vakra doesn't mean crooked, but not straight. Not straight means it is not simple expression, but it is something going beyond trend or novel expression, which we can say. So it is actually novel expressions, Vakrokti is. So these were considered as, we can say, five main perspectives of Indian poetics, and so we can call it as five main perspectives, five main theories of Indian aesthetics as well. Apart from this, there are other perspective also, like Auchitya Siddhanta is there, propounded by Kshemendra, and there are some perspective also which are discussed later on, but these five are definitely significant. So from this now we will explore Rasa Siddhanta. Okay, now what is the meaning of rasa? First of all, as I said, the word rasa is found in Vedas also. So there we can see different meanings of the word rasa. Rasa means actually any kind of water. Rasa has multiple meanings in various texts. Rasa means water. Rasa means any kind of liquid. It is go rasa, ikshu rasa. Go rasa is used for milk or any kind of rasa. Even rasa is used in various Ayurveda text. Even the rasa also means poison. So rasa has multifarious meaning. But here in aesthetics, in poetics, the word rasa has a technical meaning that we need to understand. And this technical meaning to the word rasa was first of all assigned by Bharata in his Natya Shastra. So what is the meaning of rasa here? It is delight, aesthetic pleasure, aesthetic delight. And it was used for the very first time by Bharata in his Natya Shastra. So the word rasa is derived from the verb rasa, to taste. Rasyate asvadyate iti rasaha. Means rasa is that which is relished, which is enjoyed. Okay. So rasa means aesthetic pleasure. It is basically a pleasure. We can understand the meaning it as. And Bharata first time used it in aesthetic sense. Otherwise, there are many meanings to the word rasa in what we can say day-to-day language or other texts like in medicinal context like Ayurveda, etc. But Bharata has used is in paribhashika, it as a paribhashika sautya. That is a technical term. and he has done the identification of the rasas. So we know 9 rasas, but it seems that Bharata Muni had identified first the 8 rasas, and then ninth was added later on, that is Shanta rasa. So the 8 rasas which were identified first are Shrungara, Hasya, Karuna, Raudra, Veera, Bhayanaka, Vibhatsa, and Adbhuta. So we might be aware of those rasas. Shrungara is erotic, Hasya is laughter, Karuna is pathos, Raudra is furious, Veera is heroic, Bhayanaka is terrible, Vibhatsa is loathsome or disgusting, Adbhuta is marvelous, etc. And of course, the Shanta is the Navamo Rasaha, it is called as ninth rasa, which was added later on. Now, when we say that there is a particular rasa, for example, Shrungara, there are some technicalities involved in it. We can't simply say that it is Shrungara because we can see the love emotion there. Because there is a difference between those emotions and these rasas, actually. Okay. There is a difference between emotions and these rasas because rasa has to be delineated properly, nourished well with its different ingredients, without which it can't be called as rasa. It will not fit to be designated as rasa, or we may not experience that as rasa. Now, how it is that we are going to look at, and that actually is explained by Bharata in the Natya Shastra. So, these 9 rasas are identified. Shrungara has 2 types, Sambhoga Shrungara and Vipralamba Shrungara, that is love in union and love in separation. So why again Shrungara is means, though it is erotic actually. So it is erotic means it is a love emotion between Nayaka and Nayika, the hero and heroine. When they are united, it is called as Sambhoga Shrungara, and when they are separate, still love emotion persists. It is called as Vipralambha Shrungara. So let us see how their processing takes place and how Bharata explains this actually. Bharata has explained all these things, means basically this process of rasa with one formula, one sutra, which is given here. Vibhava Anubhava Vyabhichari Sanyogat Rasa Nishpattihi. Okay, this is the sutra. Vibhava Anubhava Vyabhichari Sanyogat Rasa Nishpattihi. Now, this sutra is very important in the sense that it explains the whole rasa theory, the whole rasa process. But it has created certain ambiguities also, certain what we can say. It has given scope to many explanations in further time. So commentators have commented on this Rasa Sutra from various perspectives, and it has given rise to different perspectives on Rasa Siddhanta, so which are called as Rasa theories. That we will go into those details as well. But first, we have to understand what is basically this formula talking about. What basically this sutra is talking about. Vibhava Anubhava Vyabhichari Sanyogat Rasa Nishpattihi. Now, Rasa Nishpattihi. Now, here the word which is used is Nishpatti. Now, Nishpatti is understood as production, creation, manifestation, like that. So, again, all these words have different tinge of meanings, and so it has created debates in future. Because Nishpatti means if we take it as creation, production, then we have to understand in the sense that rasa is created. Created means it was not there before, it was not existent before. And if we understand manifestation, then it just gets manifested which was already there. So such nuances are there, which we will understand later. But nishpatti now we have to understand as okay, creation of rasa, production of rasa. And how rasa gets created? It is sanyogat. It is by sanyoga. Sanyoga means union. Okay. Mixture we can say. Again mixture or sanyoga creates a different kind of meaning. It gives rise to different meaning. What kind of mixture is this? Because mixture also can be of various types. But let us now understand it as mixture, certain kind of mixture. Now, which ingredients are there? Vibhava, Anubhava, and Vyabhichari. Okay, Vibhava, Anubhava, and Vyabhichari. Now, these are technical terms. Just as rasa here is understood in technical sense to mean aesthetic pleasure, in similar manner, Vibhava, Anubhava, and Vyabhichari also are considered as technical terms here. Now, we have to understand them one by one. Okay. Vibhava means causes or determinants. Anubhava means effects or consequence, which can be means Vibhava is karana, Anubhava is parinama, and Vyabhichari are actually transitory mental states. We will understand them one by one. But see, when Sanyoga is stated, the illustration of Panaka Rasa Nyaya, Nyaya means illustration, example of Panaka Rasa is definitely useful to here to understand what kind of Sanyoga it is. See, Vibhava, Anubhava, and Vyabhichari are there. And the Sanyoga means union or mixture of Vibhavas, Anubhava, and Vyabhichari leads to the rasa. This is a simple understanding of this rasa sutra. Vibhava, Anubhava, and Vyabhichari. Sanyoga means union of Vibhavas, Anubhavas, and Vyabhichari leads to rasa. Now, of course, we have to understand what these Vibhavas, Anubhavas, Vyabhicharis are. And Panaka Rasa Nyayam. Panaka, Panaka Rasa. So, if we take the illustration of a juice, then there are definitely certain ingredients which are required to prepare it. Okay. Suppose we take the example of lime juice. Then what we will require is lime, sugar, salt, water, isn't it? And we have to mix it. But is it possible that anyhow you mix it and prepare the lime juice? Is it possible? Will you get the same result? Is it possible to get the same result? Of course, no. Why? What you have to do then while preparing lime juice? Can anyone tell me?
Mix the contents in the given proportion, the required proportion.
Yeah, very important point. Given proportion is very important. If somebody has said to you that adding salt will give very good taste to the lime juice, and therefore you add salt in excessive manner, then it is going to spoil the taste. Similarly, here also vibhavas, anubhavas, and vyabhicharis have to be proportionate in appropriate proportion. Again, if you don't mix it well, then also it is not going to give a good taste. Means if you just taste that juice and you feel the ingredients, oh, it is lime, it is sugar, it is salt. No, it is not like that. The good juice will taste. But when all these ingredients will lose their individual taste and will give rise to something different, which is called as lime juice. So any kind of juice you can take as an example. So that taste is not equal to its ingredients. It is something different. It is so lime juice cannot be correlated with the lime, with the sugar, with the salt or the water. It is something different. Similarly here, vibhavas, anubhavas, vyabhicharis, when get united in appropriate proportion, okay, then it leads to rasa, which is very much different than vibhavas, anubhavas, and vyabhicharis. If you still can feel the taste of lime, sugar, salt, then you will say it is not lime juice. It is sugary or salty or something like that. You will label it as. It is not a proper juice. Similarly here, that rasa nishpatti will not take place. You will still feel the presence of vibhavas, anubhavas, and vyabhicharis in separate sense. You may be able to appreciate them separately, but you may not experience the rasa as such. We are going to discuss this again and again while doing the theories, but in the beginning, it is necessary to understand. Okay. Have you understood? Can we go further?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So we have to understand first bhavas because there was vibhava, anubhava, and vyabhichari. These three terms we have to understand. And there is term which is vyabhichari, which is mentioned, and vyabhicharis are nothing but bhavas, emotions. So these are vyabhicharis are transitory emotions. But one more word, technical word, which is not used in Rasa Sutra, but it is important, is thai bhavas, which are permanent emotions. So basically, what are the bhavas? Bhavas are defined as kavyarthan bhavayanti te bhavaha. Bhavayanti te bhavaha. Bhavayanti. It is prayojaka, it is a causal in case of grammatical explanation. So they carry something, they convey something. Carry what? They carry the aim of poet, they carry the feelings of the poet, emotions of the poet, and convey it to the connoisseur. So medium may be different. Like we are thinking about kavya, or means it may be any kind of poetry, drama, it can be art. So through that medium, these bhavas, these emotions, carry the content, the ashaya, what we can say. So kavyarthan bhavayanti te bhavaha. Kavyartha means the essence. Poet or artist wants to convey something to the connoisseur. So if you see some painting, you understand what artist wants to convey. Emotions are the medium of it. They are actually the carriers. So here we can understand two types of emotions, thai and vyabhichari. Permanent emotions and transitory emotions. So these are two contrary to each other actually. Thai are permanent moods or permanent emotions and vyabhichari are transitory emotions. Okay. Now we will see first what is thai, thai bhavas. It is very important to understand first thai bhavas in order to understand these rasas. As I said earlier, the 8 or 9 rasas are identified in Bharata's Natya Shastra. So we have to understand those 9 sthai bhavas as well. Now, what is Sthai Bhava? Sthai means steady, sthira. They are steady in the mind. They are dormant, actually. What we can call it as supta. They are in dormant state. Means they are permanent in the sense that they are permanently located in the mind in the form of what we can say vasanas means impressions, latent impressions, samskaras, what we call them it as. They are there in the mind, but they are in the dormant state. So it is not that we are experiencing them at every moment. No, they are there in the mind, but in dormant conditions. But they are steady, means they are there, permanently located. Therefore, they are called as Sthai Bhavas. Now, what happens is when these dormant emotions get awakened, get triggered due to certain factors, then that Sthai Bhava is called as Rasa. Okay. When Sthai gets triggered or awakened due to factors like Vibhavas, Anubhavas, and Vyabhicharis, it is called as Rasa. So Sthai Bhavas are already there, located permanently in the mind. They get triggered by Vibhavas, Anubhavas, and Vyabhicharis. And then there is Rasa Nishpati. So when Bharata gives the Rasa Sutra, Vibhava, Anubhava, Vyabhichari, Sanyogat, Rasa Nishpatti. So Vibhavas, Anubhavas, and Vyabhicharis are must. Without that, Rasa will not take place. They will remain as a sthai. Okay, they will remain as a dormant emotion. They will never come to be known as Rasa. They will not get delineated as Rasa. They will not get nourished as Rasa. So sthai, in order to be called as Rasa, it should be nourished by Vibhavas, Anubhavas, and Vyabhichari. So this is the exactly the work of poet art or artist, to nourish the sthai with Vibhavas, Anubhavas, and Vyabhicharis. Okay. Now we will be looking at what Vibhavas, Anubhavas, and Vyabhicharis are. But these sthais are also called as, sthai because they are permanently associated with particular rasa. For example, rati means emotion of love. Now, love emotion give rise to rasa called Shrungara. Now, here rati will give rise to Shrungara, but not Hasya. Because rati is really tied to Shrungara. Rati can give rise to Shrungara only, not Hasya, Karuna, Raudra, Veera, nothing. Now, these thais are emotions, they are bhavas. In the beginning, I said there is a difference between those emotions and rasa. Those thai bhavas are actually emotions, what we call them as. So, love emotion will lead to Shungara rasa nishpatti when properly nourished, when properly triggered. Hasa means laughter, that hasa emotion will lead to hasya rasa. Shoka will lead to karuna rasa. Krodha will lead to raudra rasa. Utsaha will lead to Veera rasa. Bhaya will lead to Bhayanaka rasa. Jugupsa will lead to Vibhatsa rasa. Vismaya will lead to Adbhuta rasa. And Nirveda will lead to Shanta rasa. So these Sthai Bhavas, 9 Sthai Bhavas, lead to 9 rasa, but each Sthai Bhava is bound to particular rasa. Are you following till this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So the concept of Sthai Bhava, I think, is clear to you, which will lead to Rasa Nishpatti. Now, Sthai Bhava should be awakened or triggered or nourished by certain factors, which are vibhavas, anubhavas, and veticharis. Now, what are these vibhavas? Vibhavas are causes, karana. So, various words are given to it: karanam, nimittam, hetuhu, etc. etc. Now, again, vibhava means causes are considered of two types: alambana vibhava and uddipana vibhava. Alambana is actually substratum, or we can call it as ashraya, the very basis of the rasa. And uddipana, as the name suggests, it enhances the rasa. It you know it nourishes it more. Alambana is again divided into two: ashraya alambana and vishaya alambana. Now, what are these actually? What are ashraya alambana and vishaya alambana? So, alambana is substratum, as I said. Vibhavas are of two types: alambana and uddipana. Alambana is of two types: ashraya alambana and vishaya alambana. So, what is ashraya alambana? In whom the rasa resides, rasa arises, or rasa is seen, rasa is manifested. That is called as ashraya alambana. And vishaya alambana is the one with reference to whom the rasa is manifested. That is the object of the rasa. So, if you take any example of rasa, then you will understand that particular rasa, for example, Shrungara, can be seen in particular character. For example, if you see the drama Abhijnana Shakuntalam, it is a Dushyanta. Or if you see the Meghaduta, it is a Yaksha. With reference to whom that Shrungara can be seen, that erotic emotion can be seen. With reference to Shakuntala, so she will become Vishayalambana, or with reference to Meghadut, it will be Yakshapatni. Or if you take any contemporary example, any drama or movie, then if you understand there as a Shrungara Rasa, the romantic movie if it is, and there are hero and heroine. So you have to understand which emotion means in whom that rasa can be seen. That will be the Ashraya Alambana. And it is because of that, means with reference to whom, that is the object of the rasa, will be Vishaya Alambana. So here it is given as the hero is the Ashraya Alambana and heroine is the Vishaya Alambana. But it can be vice versa also, depending on that particular scene and the you know the content basically. Are you understanding this concept of alambana and the difference between ashraya alambana and vishaya alambana?
Not actually. Alamban as a word, how can we translate that?
Alambana means substratum.
Okay, but I didn't understand the meaning of substratum. I'm a bit confused.
It is meaning the alambana is the what we can say where it is resorting, where it resides.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, got it.
So
Yeah.
if you take any example, suppose any, you do you want to take any example of a movie? Suppose,
Hmm.
can you take any example so that it
Can't,
will get clarified?
can't think of anything on top of my head.
So anyone in the class can give any example so that we can understand with reference to that, because some examples are here from Sanskrit literature which may not be understood by all. So it is
Hmm.
better if you take some contemporary example.
Mughal Azam.
Okay, in Mughal Azam, now which rasa you can see? Let us take particular scene. Don't now take the entire movie.
If anybody else can say, actually, I just told the name. I I have
No
not seen that
problem.
movie.
This is how you have to go ahead. So, any particular scene where the love emotion is seen between which characters? What are the characters in Mughal e Azam?
Anarkali and Salim.
Okay, Anarkali and Salim. Okay, so in suppose with that particular in that particular scene, where you can see that love emotion, whether in Salim or Anarkali.
That will be in both, right? That's why I was confused.
Yeah, actually in both. But if you see
Salim.
a particular scene, then maybe Salim is praising Anarkali or appreciating the beauty. Something will be like that. Na?
Right.
It is not that just, both. If you see a particular scene, so suppose let us take Salim. So Salim will be Ashraya Lamban. Now, because of whom that love emotion is, taking place, that is Anarkali. So Anarkali will be Vishaya Lamban.
Okay.
Okay.
Madam,
Huh?
should it be always between Nayika and Nayaka?
Yes, because if it is a love emotion between mother and child, or maybe between two friends, or any other kind of love, is not included in Shrungara Rasa.
Yes, ma'am. Correct. Yes.
Okay, it is not a Shrungara Rasa.
Yes.
Then it may be a love emotion, but it is not Shrungara Rasa. Therefore, it is considered as eroticism. That will be something different. Later on, it was identified as rasa also. For example, Vatsalya rasa, between mother and child, or father and child. Then Bhakti rasa, between the deity and the god. So even that will not get included here. But that will not fit into this framework of nine rasas. Okay. Here what
So
we
we
are
can't say that,
understanding
ma'am.
is between
uh,
Nayak and Nayika. Huh?
so this list is not all inclusive. We have to say correct.
No, it is not. You can't say that it is not inclusive. Why? Because it has some place into that. It is not that such love was not included, but it was not called as rasa. It is called as something different that we will come to.
Okay.
So I think Ashraya Lamban and Vishaya Lamban is now quite clear to you. Maybe if you correlate with more examples, more clarity you will get. Now Uddipana. Uddipanas are excitants, which excites or enhances or adds to the development of rasa, which is already there, which is already created. Now, for example, now you have taken the example of Mughal-e Azam. So, in that, in particular scene, suppose Salim and Anarkali, they are meeting, means they have met each other, at some place. So, in how that place is shown, you need to observe that. That place may be full of beauty, maybe moonlight, maybe some garden, lonely place, isn't it? Because all these factors will add to that Shrungara Rasa. It is not that if there it is a crowded place, some people are coming in between, then they will hamper the delineation of Shrungara Rasa. But Uddipanas are such factors which will add to the that Shrungara Rasa. Are you able to correlate? What is Uddipana? Yes or no? Yeah, correct. Background. The whole background is, will be understood in Uddipana. which will enhance that Shrungara Rasa. It is not that, see, Ashrayalambana and Vishayalambana are there, definitely Shrungara will get delineated. But how it will be, nourished, well nourished, will be dependent on these Uddipanas. And therefore, so much emphasis is given on the background. So let us take the example of movies, as this is the generally, seen by all, almost all. So in movies, why so much emphasis is there on background, locations? So hero and heroine will meet on particular location. So whatever may be the rasa, we have seen 9 rasas. Okay, Shrungara, Veera, whatever may be the location. If it is Shrungara, then location will be considered as a very important. There will be some seasonal beauty will be shown, trees will be shown, there will be some flow of water, there will be lake, river, the ocean, which will add to the beauty. If it is Veera Rasa, then such background should be there, which is very much favorable to Veera Rasa. Karuna is there, tragedy, some such um, situation and background should be shown. Such element should be shown in the background. If that background is not worked upon, then it will hamper the rasa experience. It is going to hamper the rasa experience.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes,
So these things like Vibhava, is that, as you said in the start of the lecture,
yes,
that the rasa theory is not just pertaining to theater or natya as such, but the whole branch of it, the whole music, poetry, and everything. So, does this types of Vibhava and all these subdivisions, do they pertain to also, let's say, music? So, Uddipan, does it translate? How does it translate in music per se?
yeah. We have now which kind of music again you are talking about? We have to apply it to that, because basically Bharata Muni has given in with respect to drama. And in drama, there will be characters. But when we are applying it to other arts, we have to see how that can be interpreted. So, which kind of music, if you are talking?
Hmm.
Okay. So, if yes, if there is some kind of narration in that music, there are some lyrics, then you can definitely will be able to understand Ashraya Lamban, Vishaya Lambana, even Uddipana. And even if technical is elements of music in technical sense also, there will be some uddipana, means there is some basic substratum of the music, and there are certain factors which will embellish that music, so that will come in uddipana. So as much as you go into technicalities, you will understand it more, that how these uddipanas take place. It is not that simple song or simple music will not be appreciated, but when uddipanas are added, it will get appreciated more.
Right. So you have a setting that
So many
adds to the.
factors are there, isn't it? That will add as Uddipana.
Hmm. Hmm.
There is a
Madam,
painting
if
on.
it is a bhajan music, then maybe temple background will be Uddipana.
Correct, correct. Temple, yes. If it is a temple, it will lead to that bhakti. More
Bhakti
and more.
Rasa.
Yes, definitely.
Mm.
If it is Shrungara, then such kind of natural beauty, etc., the lonely place is very much necessary.
Hmm.
Veera, then some kind of battlefield or something like that, which
Hmm.
will be
Okay.
necessary. So that Uddipana one has to work upon, and therefore so much emphasis is given on background. Even if you are reading a novel, okay, if it is a novel, then definitely it is not visual medium. But though it is not a visual medium, author will give emphasis on the background creation first. That what was there, who was there, what that place was, the name of the city, the name of the place. It is very much necessary. It is not irrelevant. So in case of painting also, Now, painting can be of many types again. So, it can be created in certain strokes also. But when you know the more details are added, of course, it will enhance that emotion more and more. It's like that. So, vibhavas are basically karana. They are called as karana because they are the very basis of that rasa. They are very basis, without which rasa is not possible. Okay. Then we go to anubhavas. Vibhava means karana, anubhava means parinama, consequence. Anubhavo vikarastu bhava samsuchanatmakaha. See, anubhava is suggestive of that emotion is already there. Emotion is already manifested. Rasa is created. Rasa is there. Because anu means afterwards. Anu means paschat. Paschat bhavyante te anubhava. Means they come after that emotion is created, that rasa is created. Means they are indicative of particular rasa, in short. They are suggestive of particular rasa. Means the question is that if you are watching a movie or drama, how do you know that it is Shrungara rasa? How do you know that it is romantic movie? How do you know that it is tragedy? How do you know that it is comedy? How do you know? How you come to know that? Can you tell me? Music is there again. Many things are there actually which can be categorized as anubhavas. So anubhavas are basically categorized in four types: angika, vachika, aharya, and satvika. So angika are physical gestures. Okay, angika or kayika anubhava means physical gestures. Vachika are dialogues. Aharya is a dressing style, and satvika are certain psychosomatic gestures. Now, see, from the dressing style also you can sense it is which rasa. Suppose it is tragedy, pathos, karuna rasa. Naturally, the dressing style will be like that. Means the way the hairs are tied, means the kesha rachana, the makeup, everything will be suitable to that karuna rasa. If it is shrungara, everything will be suitable to that. Aharya, the dressing style will be accordingly. So suppose there is a drama based on Ramayana, then the dressing style, that is Aharya, will be suitable to that character, suitable to the character of Rama, suitable to the character of Ravana. So when that character comes on stage, it is not necessary to tell you by someone, oh, this is Ram and this is Ravan. No, you easily identify that this is Ram and that is Ravan. You can easily differentiate by their dressing style. Angika Anubhava, that is physical gestures. The body language of Ram and body language of Ravan is going to be different. Or even in a movie, body language of hero and body language of anti-hero is going to be different. There will be difference in dialogues, the way the dialogue delivery is designed, that is going to be different. Satvika Anubhavas we will explore. But you know, all these differences necessary. And when there is a confusion in this, or there is a lacuna in this, physical gestures, dialogues, dressing style, it will definitely not lead to the rasa nishpatti. Because as we have seen the rasa sutra, vibhava, anubhava, vyabhichari, sanyogat rasa nishpatti, proper mixture